the 5 o'clock hour. Very exciting stuff. We're going to have our old friend Mike Flannery join us coming up after 5:30. He's going to put into perspective everything that happened in Wisconsin last night. What does it mean for Illinois moving forward? There's a big meeting today amongst the leadership in Illinois about what are we going to do now? Oh, we're scared. So we'll find out what does it mean for you? You want to know. Does it mean your taxes are going up? Your taxes not going up? Is there going to be a teacher strike? All that. Mike's going to put that in perspective for us. And there's a new gonorrhea out. This is just in time for the summer for the kids for beach season.
Oh my God!
So we'll get to that story. Stay here.
One station making history every day. 89 WLS.
A victory in Wisconsin.
Giving the Wisconsin recall election the WLS treatment.
Rebecca Kleefisch, who's been on with us before. I would say, Lieutenant Governor, you're the most entertaining Lieutenant Governor of all 50 states.
Wow.
I am out on location. I'm at the Brat Stop in Kenosha.
Governor Scott Walker, good morning.
A lot of people realize they don't need a bullhorn, they don't need a protest sign. They just need to be able to vote to let their voices be heard.
One station covering history every day. Chicago's talk leader, 89 WLS Chicago. A Cumulus station.
From ABC News, I'm Brad Wheelis. With 401k accounts losing so much money over the past several weeks, some good news for your retirement account. The Dow shot up 287 points today. The Nasdaq gained 67. Europe's central bank and the U.S. Federal Reserve hinted they would do more to ease the debt crisis overseas.
So this double dose, so to speak, of potential monetary easing certainly cheered investors.
Carrie Leahy with Decision Economics. But times are still tough for some. More than 2,000 grocery store workers in the West getting layoff notices. ABC's Alex Stone in Los Angeles.
Albertsons, a major grocery store chain in the West, says up to 2,500 employees will be laid off at 247 stores in Southern California and Nevada beginning June 17th. The company saying some employees in every store will be told they don't have jobs. Some stores may close. The chain has seen customer numbers and sales declining.
ABC News has learned New York City police detectives are carrying out a search warrant at the home of Pedro Hernandez in Camden, New Jersey. They're searching his home for possible evidence in the Eitan Pates murder. The 6-year-old boy was abducted and killed more than 3 decades ago. A jury chosen to hear the child sex abuse case against former Penn State assistant football coach Jerry Sandusky, and many panelists have strong ties to Penn State. ABC News national correspondent Jim Avila covering the case.
The prevailing question from the judge is, can you be fair? Have you made up your mind already? And those who can answer, yes, I can be fair, and I have not made up my mind, and will listen to what the evidence is presented in the courtroom only, are being allowed to be picked.
Airport workers accused of drug smuggling. 2 rings of nearly 50 employees at Puerto Rico's main airport allegedly smuggled thousands of kilograms of cocaine onto commercial flights bound for Miami, Orlando, and New York. You're listening to ABC News.
89 WLS News continues at 2 minutes after 5. I'm Jim Johnson. Here are the stories you're talking about on 89 WLS. Cook County State's Attorney Anita Alvarez and Police Superintendent McCarthy say they're going to use a new state law to go after gang leaders. It's a racketeering act and would allow prosecutors to treat gangs as a criminal enterprise, giving them more power to go after gang leaders and others. It still needs the governor's signature, but it's expected he'll sign it. Meanwhile, it's a continuing love fest over at City Hall today. Lots of praise for McCarthy and his handling of NATO protesters. Bill Cameron was there.
On the floor of the City Council, Alderman Latasha Thomas laid it on thick for McCarthy leading the troops.
You know, Queen Elizabeth did it in one of those very defining moments, and the countless battles they had with the French. The Greeks, you know, that big movie we saw with Spartans.
For his part, Mayor Emanuel was joking that maybe the adoration of the superintendent has gone far enough.
Since I have to talk to Gary McCarthy every morning, I would prefer neither Braveheart or George Washington from here on forward.
And then the mayor summed up what he thinks the NATO summit achieved.
We have turned the page from what happened in the past, and Chicago has become the new gold standard of what to do not what not to do.
At City Hall, Bill Cameron, 89 WLS News.
But there is a bit of controversy about the tasering of a pregnant woman. It happened last night during a parking ticket dispute on the far south side. Dave Stewart has that story.
Police say there's an internal investigation underway, but the family of Tiffany Rent says they'll file complaints against the officers. Rent says she had gotten a ticket for parking in a disabled spot in a Walgreens in the far south side Roseland neighborhood, and she admits she tore up the ticket, but she says she did nothing to warrant the use of a taser.
I didn't hit him. I didn't do anything to harm him or anything. He tasered me through the window.
A police source says Rent was belligerent and tried to drive away before the taser was used. The family says officers made racially insensitive remarks as Rent was lying stunned from the shock. A hospital check showed no harm to the fetus. David Stewart, 89 WLS News.
89 WLS traffic and weather first on the 5s in 1 minute. 89 WLS news time is 5:04.
89 WLS. Traffic and weather first on the 5s.
At 5:05, I'm Christina Filiaggi. 355 northbound heavy Army Trail Road to 290. Tri-State southbound heavy Gulf Road to the Bensonville Bridge. 53 northbound heavy from 355 to Irving Park Road. Those are gapers to the southbound accident. Southbound still heavy from I-90 to Irving Park Road, where 3 left lanes are taken out with a crash. And the outbound side of the 290, heavy York Road to 355 as well. And I-55 to Stevenson inbound, 53 to Lamont, your delay with a crash in 2 left lanes. Travel time on the Eisenhower from Thorndale into downtown, an hour and 45 minutes, back out an hour and a half. The Edens in from Lake Cook to the Junction, 45 minutes, 22 out. Out to O'Hare on the Kennedy, 38 minutes, 52 in. And your Stevenson travel time to 355, 1 hour. Inbounds an hour and 10 minutes. Ryan out to 95th, 25 minutes, back in 34. Traffic brought to you by DHL Express. Take your business on the Express lane with DHL Express. Chicago's own international specialist. Now later pick up at earlier delivery times to and from Chicago. That's the speed of yellow. Find out more at dhl-usa.com/Chicago. The 89 WLS Weather Channel forecast brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota owners through June at your participating Toyota dealer get $20 off a front or rear brake service with pad replacement. Toyota has convenient service at competitive prices. Tonight, clear, low 54. Tomorrow, sunny, high 79. Right now, 75 at O'Hare, 68 at Lakefront. Export at 5:15 on 89 WLS.
Where you get the news on the hour, the half, and when it breaks. Continuous coverage at WLSAM.com. I'm Jim Johnson, 89 WLS News.
This is Prime Time with Rowe and Roper, 89 WLS.
There you go. Top 5 Orchestra. Working very hard. Open this thing up, would you?
Now,
Rowe and Roper. The top 5 at 5.
And you know what this is? This is the top 5 stories of the day that have audio associated with it that we consider to be entertaining. Wow. It's a disclaimer. Checking in at
number 5.
Science fiction writer Ray Bradbury has died in Los Angeles at the age of 91. And when I heard this news today, I immediately said, Ray Bradbury is dead again?
Hey.
In an interview with ABC's Bill Deal, Bradbury said that growing up, he was influenced by science fiction comic book heroes like Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers.
I fell in love with the architectures of the futures on the cover. I think that's part of the love that young people and older people have for science fiction, is that they build architectures of fabulous cities.
He was the pride of Waukegan, Ray Bradbury, Martian Chronicles, Fahrenheit 451, Something Wicked This Way Comes. They turned a lot of his books and short stories into movies and TV miniseries, but never really did it service. I think his vision was ahead of the technology. I'd like to see some of those get redone. And the Martian Chronicles were great because these astronauts from the United States would go up to Mars and try to colonize it and all this stuff. And he wrote it in the 40s and 50s, and he set it in the distant future of like 1999, 2002.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's a
terrific writer.
Unfortunately, we didn't get there. We was broke. We couldn't get there.
We never got to Mars. Well,
we've been to Mars. We've dropped some things on Mars.
Yeah, there was a cool picture that they took recently.
And it's funny because we had that one Martian rover that was supposed to last just a matter of months, and it's now lasted a decade.
Which is unlike the rover who came to Chicago and was supposed to last a decade
rover.
And only lasted a couple of months.
It's your radio rover.
Yeah, it was a different rover.
This proves to me that there are Martians up there, and they just plug the thing in.
I think so.
They got there, they go, I just plug it in.
They had that amazing photo that was taken, and you could see a couple little antennae, like, ducking behind the rock there.
I think what they do is they kind of move around. They see the camera moving around. Keep moving around. It's coming near you. And they're there. There's like hundreds of them there. They just keep moving around away from it.
Laughing at us.
All right, checking in at
number 4.
Oh, it's been almost 3 years since Michael Jackson died.
Wow.
That anniversary's coming up in 2 weeks, I believe.
Summer of 2009?
Yep.
Wow.
How about that? 3 years. Now, intense interest remains about his life, work, and his family, especially his 3 children. Oprah Winfrey visited his 14-year-old daughter Paris for an interview that revealed some details about life with a world-famous parent. And one of the most discussed Jackson oddities was his habit of covering his children's faces in public, often with a blanket.
I was really confused. Like, I didn't get why I was wearing a mask. But I understand it now, why my dad would want our face to be covered. Like, when we went out without him, we wouldn't be recognized and we could have a normal childhood. He told us that when he was younger, he didn't really have a childhood. Like, he would always be stuck in the studio singing and while other kids were out playing. And he wanted us to have that. So we would, a lot of times we'd go to Chuck E. Cheese and everything, and it was Chuck E. Cheese and Toys R Us were our favorite places to go.
Wow.
You know, first of all, he spent his entire life trying to make up for that lost childhood. There's a kind of twisted logic to that. If they weren't seen with him, then people wouldn't know they were Michael Jackson's kids, and they could be out and about. But the other thing was, he was trying to protect their privacy, and then after he died, it turns out all the kids are little fame whores. They all want to